Deep dives and blue skies. Welcome back to Talking Blue with Nick, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talking Blue, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. I am your host, Nick. Today, we are recapping the Dodgers and the Mariners series and parts of the last week, and basically the entire regular season that just ended. As you guys probably know by now, and since the last time I had talked to you, Dodgers have clinched the National League West. They will be in the postseason. They will be playing in the wild card round. Of course, it's officially official. They will be playing the Cincinnati Reds. They will be taking on the Cincinnati Reds in LA Tuesday night, 2 nights from now at the time of this recording. Dodgers, Reds. Exciting times, nervous times for sure. So a ton of stuff going on. What I'm going to do in this pod, because I haven't talked to you guys since last week when the Dodgers played the Giants, I think it was. Since then, they played the Diamondbacks, took 2 out of 3, and then they just swept the Seattle Mariners. So today, what I'm going to mostly do is recap the Mariners series. I'll talk a little bit about stuff that happened in the Diamondback series, and then kind of just sum up a lot of my thoughts on the season. I'm not necessarily going to sum up like players' season numbers. I'll save that for when the Dodgers season actually ends, and I'll talk about the way guys played and all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily a season review, but I will kind of brush over some of the players and just kind of where we're at now, all that kind of stuff. So it'll mostly be a regular podcast talking about the games that were played. And then when it comes to the playoff stuff, I will be doing a podcast about that. I haven't decided if it'll be a full-blown preview pod like I have done. You guys, if you follow this podcast, you know I do preview some series. I actually just did one on the Reds because, ironically, the Dodgers played the Reds about a month ago. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go game by game, break it down, who's pitching and all that stuff. But I will kind of like talk about, the roster. That's going to be a big thing, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. That'll likely be coming out Monday. So for now, we're going to talk about this past week in the Dodgers season, how they got to where they're at. They're playing pretty well. Guys who are playing good, struggling, all that. So, as always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media at Talking Blue Pod. You can follow myself at Talking Blue Nick. I've been doing a ton of stuff on X as of late. So you can go on my X at Talking Blue Nick. All my posts, it's all about the Dodgers. I do breakdowns. I post little videos about guys, all that kind of stuff. And on Reddit as well at competitive-week8715. So, quickly, like I said, I'm going to recap the 3 games in Seattle, and I'll go over a little bit of stuff that happened in Arizona when the Dodgers clinched the division. And then, but before we do all that, let me get into some of the injury stuff. So, when I make my podcast for the Dodgers-Reds series, I'll go into more of this as well. But injury updates. Obviously, since I last talked to you, Roki Sasaki has come back and pitched out of the bullpen. We'll get into that. Brock Stewart, he was one of the relievers that was possibly coming back. He's not coming back. He will be having shoulder surgery. Clearly, he had shoulder issues, tried to rehab it. Looked like he was actually going to come back. And then when the Dodgers didn't activate him, Dave Roberts had a quote saying he's pitchable or something like that, which was kind of weird. Basically saying he could pitch, but he's not really ready to go. Then they just decided to shut it down. A couple guys who have stuff looming into the wild card series. The biggest one, Will Smith. Not much updates on Will Smith. If I had to give you a prediction based on my gut reaction, probably won't be on the wild card series because not a lot of things have progressed well with him, and they clearly don't want to have him on a postseason spot. Postseason spots are so valuable if he can't play or if he's not really feeling great. So we'll see. He hasn't taken live at-bats yet, so we'll kind of see what happens with Will Smith. I really have no idea yet. I'll talk about that more tomorrow as well. Max Muncy has been dealing with some kind of lower body soreness is what they're calling it. I really hope it's not an oblique coming back. He did not play in this Mariners series. They have been continued to say he's expected to be ready for the wild card series, so I am deciding to not worry about it in my brain and that he'll be in there. But the fact that he wasn't in there at all in the Seattle Mariners series is a little scary that they're kind of being too quiet on something. Sometimes teams are nice and vocal about injuries, and sometimes teams tend to be a little secretive. Dodgers tend to be more on the secretive side. If they're telling me he's going to be ready for Game 1, then I'm expecting him to be ready for Game 1. But obviously, the back of your mind, you never know what could happen. And then Tommy Edman, he's just battled through this damn ankle for like a year and a half. Kind of reactivated it a little bit when he played center field in Arizona on a diving catch. Didn't play much in the Mariners series. He, for sure, I think will definitely be on the roster, and he'll probably be in the lineup as well. But I can kind of tell, and it's kind of easy to tell that he is not always pushing it all the way. So that's pretty much it. It's postseason time now, so when it comes to injuries and stuff, it's now just, are you good enough to go and be on the roster? And if you're good enough to go, then you just got to give it your all. Kirby Yates, he went on the IL with a right hamstring strain. I think that's probably a phantom IL. They didn't want to disrespect him and DFA him or, lose him because you never know. You could need him in the postseason. I doubt he will be on the postseason roster. Is there any possibility Will Smith can actually make the roster? It's kind of unlikely. And then where are Max Muncy and Tommy Edman at? Mostly Max Muncy because I'm pretty sure Tommy Edman is going to be fine and he's going to be on there. So let's go ahead and get into Game 1, which happened on Friday night, Dodgers versus Mariners. Really good series. I already spoiled the news that the Dodgers swept the Mariners, but the Mariners were coming in hot to this series. Just clinched the division for the first time in like 20 years. They've been really hot. They have a really good team. So it's kind of funny. I wasn't expecting too much from this series because the Dodgers were locked in. They were going to be the 3 seed. They were going to be playing either the Reds or the Mets. It just had to be determined who that was. Winning the series, losing the series, whatever, really didn't matter. It was just about getting some guys in the bullpen ready and getting guys at bats. So I wasn't expecting too much from this series, but the Dodgers did play pretty well. So Emmett Sheehan got the start. It ended up only being 1 inning because they were getting him ready for that bullpen role. The Mariners actually got on the board first in the bottom of the first. A fielding error by Michael Conforto, believe it or not. A line drive hit to left field that hit off his glove. Dodgers were not looking great at this point. Emmett Sheehan also threw a ball into center field on a pickoff attempt. It almost looked like they were a little drunk after the post-celebration of clinching the division. Later on in the 3rd inning, Kike Hernandez hit a 2-run homer to put the Dodgers on top to flip the score. Later in the 6th inning, Dalton Rushing hit a single into right to make it 3-1. The Mariners would tack on 1 in the 8th inning against Blake Trinan to make it 3-2. Tanner Scott actually got the save. It was very scary, but he did get the save in the bottom of the 9th. Dodgers win 3-2. He got out of a bases-loaded jam. This was actually a bullpen game. I actually tweeted it out in a sarcastic way that it was amazing the Dodgers actually won a bullpen game in 2025 with the way the bullpen is pitched to end the year. But Emmett Sheehan goes 1 inning. Justin Robleski goes 2. Will Klein goes 1 2/3. Anthony Banda 1 1/3. Roki Sasaki, yes, we'll get into him. He goes 1 inning. Blake Trinan 1. Tanner Scott 1. So they had to piece together a bullpen game. 9 innings, only 1 earned run. That was on Blake Trinan. They had 12 strikeouts and only 4 walks. So the pitching looked really good. That's really good to see because the bullpen has obviously struggled. And what I have on my little notes is win despite drunk lineup. So what I mean is the Dodgers, because they clinched the day before in Arizona, they really threw out a true, post-clinch celebratory lineup. So in this game, no Freddie Freeman, no Mookie Betts. Shohei was leading off, but Andy Paz was in the 2 spot. Michael Conforto was hitting 3rd. Yes, one of the worst hitters in the game this year was hitting 3rd. Teoscar was in right, hitting 4th. Hae-Sung Kim was hitting 5th at shortstop. Miguel Rojas was at 2nd. Dalton Rushing was at 1st. Kike at 3rd. And then Ben Workbet behind the plate. No Freddie Freeman, no Mookie Betts, no Max Muncy. Obviously no Will Smith because he's injured. It was basically just Pages, Shohei, and Teoscar in there. And they were able to gut out a win. Got 6 hits. Dalton Rushing had 2 hits. Kike had that home run. He did strike out a lot because George Kirby early in this game kind of dominated them. But Kike was able to sneak a ball out over the left field fence, and then Dalton Rushing tacking on later, and then they were able to hold on. So with that lineup, if you're able to get a win, that's a huge plus. And like I said, the bullpen was really good in this game. Emmett Sheehan, he's going to be a weapon out of the Dodgers bullpen. I thought it was kind of funny that they started him but only went 1 inning with him. I always thought that Emmett Sheehan maybe go 1 or 2 innings out of the bullpen, but him just going this 1 inning role, and I do believe Dave Roberts did say in a press conference post-game or whatever answering questions that Sheehan would be limited to 1 inning. So he's going to be a true reliever. I'm going to see the stuff tick up a little bit. Sheehan is one of the best swing and miss pitchers in the game. If you go to Baseball Savant, he is in the 93rd percentile in whiff percentage, so he's one of the best pitchers in the entire sport at getting swings and misses. 92nd percentile in K rate, and then he's in the 91st percentile in chase rate. So he is absolutely elite at getting swing and miss, strikeouts, and chase. Emmett Sheehan, what a really solid year for him coming back from Tommy John. Obviously, only limited to 73 innings, but he had 89 strikeouts, a 2.82 ERA, a 0.97 WHIP. So he had a really good year. The expected numbers are all very good too. He had an expected ERA of 3.02. His expected batting average 214. Just a really, really good year for Sheehan. And again, I think that there's a good chance he makes a name for him this postseason. Coming out of the bullpen, we'll see. Do the Dodgers go right to him right away in this upcoming wild card game? We'll see. But I think he's going to be really good for them. And then I just wanted to talk about Roki Sasaki. So, of course, I wasn't able to recap the Diamondback series. Depending on which game I'm talking about, emotions were a little up and down in that whole series. In the first game, Tanner Scott blew a save, and that was just incredibly depressing. In the second game, the Dodgers bullpen again blew a lead, but they were able to win that game, and then they had a nice, easy win on Wednesday, or Thursday, I should say. Roki made his first relief appearance on Wednesday, so I just wanted to talk about him. In that first game, he got a ground out on the first batter he faced, and then struck out the next two guys. His stuff looks absolutely electric. His fastball is basically 3 miles up than it was back when he was a starter earlier in the year. On the year, he basically averaged like around 96. So far, when he's come out of the pen, he's averaged 99 miles an hour. So it's up from 96 to 99. Hit 100 miles an hour a couple times. A lot more swings and misses. So then in that first outing where he had the 2 strikeouts, he had 3 whiffs. Against the Mariners, he had 4 whiffs. He struck out Kyle Raleigh. He looked really dominant. The splitter was looking really nasty. So Roki, you got to give him a lot of credit. His auditions were limited to for a chance to get on the postseason roster. Only 2 innings, obviously, and he's pretty clearly going to be on there. Showed explosive stuff, and what was nice is that he did come into high leverage situations and face some pretty good hitters, later in the game and stuff. So it wasn't a mop-up situation. He came in there, had to be good against good hitters, pounded the strike zone, which is good. Looks like he's kind of made some adjustments. So I don't know. He hasn't given too many implications on like why his velocity has, come back up so much. Because there were times in the minor leagues where he was still kind of averaging around 96, like low to mid 90s, and then all of a sudden it just jumped up. The only thing I saw is that he did allude to the fact that back when he was throwing a slider earlier in the year, kind of created some bad habits with his shoulder. So I don't know if that is like why his velocity has ticked back up, that he's like eliminated the slider, or like I said, kind of ironed out some of the things in the mechanics. But it seems like the way he's attacking the zone so far, again, it's very limited in the 2 innings. But obviously Roki is a fastball splitter guy. The splitter is the dominant pitch that he has. So when you're using that pitch, you're going to try to get that pitch down in the zone to get a chase. You're not throwing a slider up in the zone. So kind of like a good way to tunnel that pitch is to throw the fastball down in the zone. It kind of makes a lot of sense. If you ever watch Kodai Senga of the Mets, that's kind of how he pitches. You don't really see him go to a lot of high fastballs. It's really down in the zone. So when you use that fork ball, you use that splitter, it has the appearance of a fastball, and then it just drops right off that plane. Looks like that is what Roki is kind of trying to do, because every time he is throwing a fastball, it's pretty much down in the zone. A lot of first pitch strikes. So we'll see what it turns into. But obviously the pipe dream scenario is that Roki this postseason is a high leverage guy and looks absolutely filthy. And again, in his 2 chances to make an impression, he absolutely aced the test. So that was pretty sick, honestly. There was a lot of people who were excited for Roki, but I thought he was getting a little bit overhyped, or like people were getting overexcited for him because the bullpen has been so bad and has blown leads. So I was a little bit scared that Roki, came out and didn't pitch too good, and then it's like, well, where do we go from here? So I got to give him credit that he absolutely blew my expectations away. And I was starting to get a little excited into the hype too. And then I kind of had to pull myself back, like, wait, look at his numbers, what he did earlier in the year. Is it too much to expect for him to just jump in the bullpen and just become this high leverage Josh Hader, Andrew Miller? You got to temper your expectations, but give him credit. He looked electric. And again, how is Dave Roberts going to deploy this bullpen? I'm going to talk about this more when I do my Reds Dodgers wild card series pod. But it's going to be so interesting. Like in game one, depending on who starts, it looks like it's almost been announced that it's going to be Blake Snell. Not announced officially, but it looks like that. How deep does he go? And then who do they go to right away? Is it Roki? Do you want to get him, into the game right away? Do you want to save him? All that stuff. So best thing Roki could have done is exactly what he did. Come out, pound the strike zone, look electric, and give the Dodgers the opportunity to say, okay, we need this guy on our postseason roster because of what he showed us. So, Dodgers win this game 3-2. Roki looked electric. The bullpen was really, really solid. The only guy who kind of struggled was Blake Trinan. I'll talk about him and how he looked in game 2. But he was continuing to kind of labor, not pound the strike zone, and really mostly not get swing and miss. But he did find that in game 2, so I'll talk about him in a moment. Game 2, Saturday night. This was Tyler Glasnow against Logan Gilbert. It kind of came out before the game that Glasnow wasn't going to be pitched. Wasn't going to pitch too deep into the game because the way they worded it was they wanted to keep their options open. So I originally thought that meant they wanted to get a look at other guys out of the bullpen. What eventually came out is that Tyler Glasnow actually will be on the wild card roster and will be available out of the bullpen. So just another interesting little wrinkle about who and what do the Dodgers do with the bullpen. So Tyler Glasnow, he only went 3 innings in this game. Dodgers got on the board first in the 5th inning. Dalton Rushing hit a 2-run homer to put them up 2-0. Immediately, the lead was given up. Home run to Jorge Polanco. In the 7th inning, the Dodgers tied up the game on a wild pitch to make it 3-3, and that game would be tied all the way until the 9th. Kike Hernandez, we talked about him going deep in game 1. He hits a 2-run double off of Andres Munoz, who's one of the best closers in the game. Dodgers go up 5-3, and they would win by a score of 5-3. Edgardo Henriquez got the save. Dodgers win 5-3 quickly. Tyler Glasnow went 3 innings. Andrew Heaney went 2, allowed the 3 runs. Jack Dreyer for 1, Blake Trinan for 1, Vesia for 1, and Henriquez for 1. And those 3 guys to end the game were absolutely filthy. We'll get into those guys. Kike Hernandez, I wanted to give him a lot of credit and just talk about him for a sec. So obviously this has not been a good year for Kike. If you look at his numbers, I think he has an OPS in the low 600s. Very weird year for Kike. Really weird player because of how versatile he is. We know about his success in the postseason. I don't even know the last time Kike was good in the regular season. Probably was 2021 when he was with the Red Sox. But he has had a couple of big hits as of late. Obviously got a lot of playing time for Max Muncy because he didn't play in this series. Is it a surprise to anyone that Kike gets a start where just a couple days from October, he hits a home run in Game 1, has the game-winning hit in Game 2. He also, I should credit, had 3 hits in this game and 2 RBIs. Kike is definitely going to be on the postseason roster, and if there's clearly something going on with Max Muncy, now I think he'll be in there and I think he'll be fine, but if they do feel like there's something going on, I wouldn't be surprised if Kike does get starts against left-handed pitching. You wouldn't have thought that a few weeks ago when Muncy obviously has been amazing when he's been healthy. But if they feel like Muncy, hasn't played a lot the last week and has had some, whatever it is, they haven't said what's wrong with him. And then on the flip side, you think that, Kike plays a pretty good third base and he's Kike Hernandez, so he's one of the greatest postseason hitters ever. That's not an overreaction. That's true. Good piece to have. So, in the upcoming series, again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. It'll definitely be Hunter Green Game 1. But after that, the Reds also have 2 good left-handed pitchers in Nick Lodolo and then Andrew Abbott. So maybe Kike sees a start there. Quickly, I'll take you back to last year. Kike, before 2024, had already had a reputation of being a big-time postseason player. But it's just so funny. I remember going into 2024, into the postseason, Kike wasn't, a part of the starting lineup, just a bench guy. Miguel Rojas ended up hurting his groin or something like that in the Padres series. Kike gets the start. goes deep in that Game 5, and then for the rest of the postseason was amazing. Wasn't like their best hitter or anything, but had a lot of big hits against the Mets, big plays, big hits against the Yankees, and in my mind, I already knew this, but it was like I just said to myself, you know what, man? Give Kike a 1-year deal every year until he wants to retire. I don't care what he looks like in the regular season. I don't care if his OPS is in the 5s like it was for some parts or in the 6s. Get him on the postseason roster. And if something happens with something in the lineup, I want him in there right away. I'm being honest. I don't know what they're going to do with left field. You know, Michael Conforto has been good the last 15 to 20 games, but he also hasn't gotten like a ton of playing time lately. I think they wanted Alex Call to get a lot of playing time, but he hasn't been so good since the Dodgers have acquired him. Honestly, if it was up to me, man, I think I'd put Kike in left field. You know, we'll see if Will Smith can be behind the plate. Obviously, you got Freddie at first. It's probably going to be Miguel Rojas at this point at second. He's played really well. Obviously, we know Mookie at short, Muncy at third, and then it'll probably be Edman in center, Pages in left, Teoscar in right. We'll see, but in that Game 1, been a little bit of a platoon with Tommy Edman. He hasn't getting a ton of left-handed at-bats, and so obviously Pages plays center. Man, I would not mind, honestly, if Kike was in there over Conforto in left field. I don't know if they'll do it. I don't think they'll do it right away. I think, like I said, he'll mostly play third base against left-handed pitching. But, man, does Kike just every postseason just prove to you that he's, regardless of what he does in the regular season, he just plays well in the postseason? Obviously, it could come back to bite you, and he could just suck, and you'll think to yourself, why do we have a guy with numbers that bad playing? But he's one of the only players where I just throw out the numbers and throw analytics out the window and just say he just has that thing about him in the big moment in the postseason that he plays better. And this year with having kind of not great options to put in left field, why not just play him in left? So we'll see. I don't know if that will happen, but that was an interesting thought that I had. Quickly, Tyler Glasnow. He obviously went to 3 innings in this game. 3 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Looked pretty solid. The command looked a lot better than it has as of late. The velocity was up a little bit. Only had 2 whiffs. Again, he wasn't great in this game, but it was only 3 innings. And I thought it was interesting that they have announced that he is going to pitch out of the bullpen. Now, again, does that necessarily mean they're going to treat him like a real reliever? Hey, the 8th inning is yours, go get it? I don't know. I just think that he'll be available if they need him. But I just wanted to sum up his year. I know it was another injury-plagued year, but he actually has a lot of even better numbers than he did last year. Now, that's not the case with his walks, but in his first year in 2024, he had an ERA of 3.49. This year, it's 3.19. Only with 90 innings, but 106 strikeouts. So again, he's one of the harder pitchers in the league to hit. Expected batting average of 209, expected ERA of 3.25, high whiff numbers, K numbers. Just one of the better pitchers in the game when he's healthy. And I've always said to you guys on here, just let me get a chance to get him healthy and let me see him in October. Hopefully now we're going to maybe see that. I mean, I don't think he's going to get a start in the wild card round. Hopefully the Dodgers can advance, and then I'm sure we'll definitely see him in the next round. But he is going to be on this roster. Again, I will go more into roster stuff, but postseason roster spots are so limited, and we're not used to this as Dodger fans, the wild card round, because it's only 3 games. Some teams do attack their roster a little differently, or they might only put 3 starters on the roster, the 3 guys that they're going to pitch, and then they kind of load up on more bullpen arms. So I thought there was a chance Glasnow wouldn't be on the wild card, but you know what, man? In a year where your pen is not good, why not just as many good, trustable pitchers as you can have, just put them on the roster? I mean, who cares, right? So I don't know if he'll actually come out of the bullpen, but we'll see. I mean, imagine if Tyler Glasnow pitches out of relief, what that looks like. And then the last thing was the 9 straight strikeouts to end the game. That was a really sick moment. So Blake Trinan in the 7th, and then Vesia in the 8th, Edgardo Henriquez in the 9th. They each have a clean inning, 3 strikeouts. The only base runner was Blake Trinan, allowed a single. The really encouraging one for me was Trinan, because I have talked about before, a lot of his struggles come from when he hasn't found the strike zone as well this year. He gets behind a lot, and he's not getting the same swing and miss. He had a lot of whiffs in this outing. He had 6 whiffs, 3 on the sweeper, 1 on the sinker, 2 on the four-seamer. The stuff wasn't overly electric, but Blake Trinan can get ahead in the count and throw enough strikes and be around the zone. He's going to get a ton of whiffs and chase because of that elite sweeper that he has. And you could just see it in that inning. It looked more like the old Blake Trinan, pitching against the teams, opposing teams, better hitters in their lineup and getting a lot of swings and misses, ugly swings and misses. So then, like I said, Alex Vesia came in with that electric IVB fastball. He was averaging 22 inches of induced vertical break. He also struck out the side, all on fastballs up. And then Edgardo Henriquez. I just want to read to you guys this number. He was averaging 101.3 miles an hour. He was literally sitting 101, touching 102. He also struck on the side, and he was also all on fastballs. So another guy like Sheehan that I think can make a big name for himself this October. A lot of guys probably don't know. A lot of people don't know that much about him. I really wouldn't be surprised, for people who don't follow Dodgers baseball too deeply. Obviously, they know the superstars, but there's going to be people out there who tune into a postseason game and they see this young kid come into the game and he's going to touch 102, and they're going to be like, who is this kid throwing 102 miles an hour? So that's why I really think Henriquez can make a big name for himself. And sometimes he kind of mixes up his pitch mix with cutters and sliders, and I really liked in this game he just attacked the Mariners with fastballs and with that electric velo. Let the stuff take over, honestly. Sometimes we get too deep into this, trying to spin the ball so much, and let your stuff take over. He just blew away the Mariners, overwhelmed them. So the positive thing about that is that, especially like I said, Trinan I still believe in and think is going to pitch high leverage innings. And that inning that he pitched on Saturday made you feel really good about that. Vesia's been pretty good all year. And then Edgardo Henriquez has an ERA in the low twos, so really good stuff from him. And he's obviously a super young guy. So let's go ahead and go to Game 3. This was played today, September 28th. Clayton Kershaw, Bryce Miller of the Mariners. This is obviously the last regular season start of Clayton Kershaw's career. So kind of a sick moment. Again, just like a week ago, I won't go too far into Kershaw because I already talked a lot about him last week, but I was just sitting there watching him pitch, just thinking about all the years I've done that so many times. Dodgers got on the board first in the second inning. Believe it or not, Hae-Sung Kim homers to right center field to put the Dodgers up 2-0. So that's pretty sweet. Later in the third inning, another 2-run homer. This time it's Freddie Freeman, his 24th of the year. Incredible power surge from Freddie in the second half. Shohei Ohtani hit his 55th home run of the year, which is a new career high for him and a new single-season franchise high for the Dodgers. So he broke his own single-season record, obviously his own season high. So last year he set a record 54 home runs in one season. This year he breaks that 55 home runs. So Shohei's first 2 years as a Dodger have just been incredible. It's almost like he's underpaid somehow after signing that deal. Then Pages made it 6-0 in the sixth inning. The Mariners would tally on one more run, but the Dodgers would win by a score of 6-1, completing the sweep. Clayton Kershaw goes 5 1/3 inning, and then Landon Knack goes 3 2/3. He got the call up. So only used 2 pitchers. Everyone in the pen got a nice day off. Clayton Kershaw. Let's talk about him quick. In his final start of his regular season career, and again, it could be the last time we see him pitch because it was announced he's not going to be on the wild card series. And it's not because of anything about him not pitching good or anything. Again, like I said before, the wild card round is a little different because it's 3 games, so you do carry less starters. So the Dodgers did the right thing. Let Kershaw go out there Sunday, pitch a lot, and enjoy that final start. And then if and when they're able to advance past the Reds, then he could possibly be on the wild card series. So you never know. It could be the last time we see Kershaw. But 5 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. To end his career, end the season, a 3.36 ERA. He also went 11-2 on the mound, which is kind of cool. I know wins don't matter anymore, but 11 wins. He was able to sneak in there in his final year. 112 innings pitched, only 84 strikeouts, but one of the best pitchers at not allowing barrels and getting ground balls. And then just to close it out, a 2.53 ERA for the entire career of Clayton Kershaw in over 2,800 innings. So one of the best pitchers of all time, calls it a career, and goes out with a really good performance. Really cool. They had Freddie Freeman come out and take the ball from him. I thought that was cool. I was watching that live. Just enjoying his last start. He looked really good against the Mariners. The Mariners, he kind of shut them down low-key. And I didn't even mention, by the way, I have my Dodgers jersey on, and this is a Clayton Kershaw jersey. Hope you guys can see that really quick. I thought I'd wear that to honor him, and that was stupid of me that I forgot to mention that. So what a year for Kershaw that he was able to sneak in this last really good, really strong year. Again, Clayton Kershaw was just, I saw someone tweet this out. I've already said this before, but it's true. He was just literally never bad in his career, just never bad. The only year he had a bad ERA, the only year that he was bad was 2024, last year, when he only threw 30 innings. So other than that, he's been great his entire career, and he's going to go out on top. Hopefully we get to see him in the postseason. Dodgers can go on a run, but we'll see if anything like that happens. And then one of the last guys I kind of wanted to note, Freddie Freeman. Obviously, he went deep in this game. I just wanted to talk about the really good and really solid season that he had again. He just wrapped up his 4th regular season with the Dodgers, and every one of them has been really amazing. 295 batting average, 367 on base, a 502 slug, and an 869 OPS. Another really solid year for Freddie Freeman. 24 home runs, so he's never been a guy who hits for massive power. He's never a lock for 35 home runs. But especially with the Dodgers, he's kind of done this. I think his first year with the Dodgers, he hit 21 or 22 home runs. 2023, he hit 29. Last year, he hit 22, and then this year, he hits 24. And a lot of that was because of the power surge he had in the second half. I just wanted to break down his months really quick because he's had somewhat of an up and down year. It's kind of funny because the season shakes out and you look at his numbers and you go, oh, well, there's Freddie Freeman, 869 OPS, 897 for his career. He just does that every single year. Extra base hit machine. But people might forget, to start out his season, he was having an amazing start to his season. The first 2 months of the year, it was looking like Freddie was having the best season of his career. In March/April, which is the first month of the year, his OPS was 1,045. Then, in the month of May, he put up an 1,100 OPS. So, through the first 2 months of the year, he was hitting well over 300. He was hitting 350, over 1,000 OPS. Legitimately, it was looking like the best season of his career. Then, he proceeded to have 2 of the worst months of his career, especially in the month of June, where he had a 557 OPS. And then in the month of July, it was 678. Then he does finish out strong in the month of August, 993 OPS. And then in September, it has 809, but that's a little, it's not updated because of today's game, so it's probably 815 or something like that. He goes 2 monster months, then he goes 2 ice-cold months, and then 2 really strong months to end the year. If it wasn't for those 2 months that he had in June and July, if he just has league average months, in June, if he just has a 700 OPS, and then in July he has a 715 OPS, he has one of the best seasons of his career, because right now, like I said, an 869 OPS for the season. If it wasn't for those 2 horrible months, it's much closer to 900, and when you're putting an OPS close to 900, over 900, that's one of the best hitters in the game, which Freddie Freeman already is, but I just wanted to kind of note that. He's 36 years old, he just finished, like I said, his 4th year with the Dodgers. One of my favorite players ever to watch. And again, just every year he's amazing. And again, another guy, Clayton Kershaw's retirement kind of puts it in perspective, how quick it goes and how, guys might be sooner to retirement than you think. And I don't think Freddie Freeman's close to retirement, but he's 36 years old. So he is now into his damn near late 30s. That's obviously when guys get close to retiring. And we did see 2 months of Freddie really struggling. But then we obviously saw 4 months where he was, excellent. So I just wanted to note that he was amazing. And in the second half, again, this isn't fully updated because of today, but second half OPS 891. It was 842 in the first half. So he's amazing. And every time he comes up to the plate in the postseason, I'm going to be happy. So that's pretty much it for these 3 games. If it wasn't for the Dodgers playing really good after Tuesday, I would be talking about the game Tanner Scott blew. That game had me pretty pissed, I'll be honest. And I kind of, honestly, after that game Monday that they blew against the Diamondbacks, I flipped from Tanner Scott, being on the postseason roster and stuff, to having him not on the roster. Don't know where I stand with him at this point. He's going to be on the roster, I assume. He did get the save against the Mariners the other day, even though it was still shaky. I really hope the Dodgers don't go to him in a save opportunity. If you want to use him against some high-leverage lefties, 6th, 7th inning, okay, but I would rather Trinan, Vesia, Henriquez. There's other guys I'd rather over him, but the Dodgers, they kind of made their bed with Tanner Scott, and I think they're going to continue to use him. We'll see. I still believe that he can be good, but it's just whatever reason he's been bad this year. So I just wanted to say some of that because those were some of my thoughts after Tuesday, but Dodgers were able to put a lot of that to bed. So, again, I'm not going to really sum up the entire Dodgers season because I'll wait till whenever the season ends, whether that's a World Series parade or whenever. Dodgers finished the year 93-69. So it was nowhere near the season that a lot of people thought they were going to have. I think I predicted them to have like 110 wins or something like that, or 109. Nowhere close to that. They didn't even win 100. The least amount of games they've won since 2018. But still, 93 wins is still a good number. Like, when I see that, I don't, that feels a lot better than, if they won like 87 or something like that. So, 93-69. They win the division, obviously. 12th time in 13 years that they've made the postseason. 13 consecutive postseason appearances, so that dates back all the way to 2013. 4th straight year that they've won the NL West. And I also wanted to note this. They go into the postseason pretty hot, 15-5 over their final 20 games. So we know how much they struggled in August and how September was ice cold to start with the Pirates and the Orioles. 15-5 over their last 20. So their only losses were 2 against the Phillies, 1 against the Diamondbacks, and then there was 1 sprinkled in against the Giants. Played really good against the Mariners, bounced back against the Diamondbacks the other day. So at the very least, the Dodgers go into the postseason pretty hot, 15-5, like I said, over their last 20. A lot of guys offensively are looking a lot better. Pages, Teoscar Hernandez has been really hot. Obviously, Freddie and Shohei have been really good as of late. We just want to see guys like Muncy, possibly Will Smith, Tommy Edman get healthy. So I'll just kind of sum up, like I said, the season and just vibes going into the postseason. Again, I'm going to have another pod talking about postseason stuff tomorrow, but this was definitely, now that the season is complete, this was definitely the most up and down or most stressful regular season in a long time. So many times the Dodgers cruise to division titles, and not just cruise to division titles, but they cruise to the best record in baseball. I mean, again, 2018 was the last year that kind of was like this. In 2019, 106 wins, won the division, best record in the NL. In 2020, the shortened season, best record in the game, best record in the NL, first seed. 2021 was similar to this, but not really. It was more just the Giants were just amazing that year. 106 wins, wild card game. That was before the wild card round, which we have now. Wild card game. So this isn't the first time we've experienced something like this. So that at least helps. But 2022, they won 111 games. Best record in baseball, obviously. 2023, they had the second best record in the NL, 100 wins. And they also got a bye. And then last year, best record in the game, although they only won 98 games. And obviously the first round. Since the new playoff system has happened, this is the first time they're going to play in the wild card round. So that is scary. It's the best 2 out of 3. Obviously in the game of baseball, anything can happen. And the Reds, although they only have, 83 wins, not necessarily a scary team, they do have very good pitching. Going into today, it was up in the air if they would play the Mets or the Reds. I'll be honest, I really just accepted that it was going to be the Reds. Some people were kind of debating who would you rather face, Reds or Mets. I really came to the conclusion that I did not care. I really didn't care who they play. I think either way, it's a team that the Dodgers can beat and should beat, and I think that they will beat. Not an easy team, both of them, by any means. I guess if I would have had to pick, I would have picked the Mets because the Mets are were falling out of the sky, basically. And because the Reds' pitching is better than the Mets. The Dodgers are going to have to face Hunter Green and then 1 or 2 of Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott. So very good pitchers. Now, the good thing is the Dodgers have played the Reds recently. Recently, like I said, they swept them. It feels like just a few weeks ago, but at this point that was almost a month ago, I think. And then on the year, out of the 6 games they played this year, they won all 5. They won 5 out of 6. And then they also faced Hunter Green a few weeks ago, like I said, and put up 4 runs against him. Andy Paz has hit 2 homers off him. And then they also faced Nick Lodolo, and they also scored some runs off him. So they have familiarity with both of those guys and at least the confidence that they can score off of them. It was definitely a year you didn't expect. You thought the Dodgers were going to win a lot more games. And like I said, being in the wild card round is not something we've had to deal with as Dodger fans. I mean, the postseason is when you're a fan like me, and like I imagine most of you are, that the postseason is definitely exciting, but it also brings a lot of nerves. The best thing about like the wild card round is like you get to enjoy some baseball before your team plays. Like I can remember a year ago when the Dodgers got the first, the bye, being at home, one of my buddies coming over, watching the wild card games, like enjoying the games. I remember that's when the Tigers got super hot and beat the Astros. Like it was really fun, and it's kind of like a nice like precursor before your team plays that weekend. We won't have that luxury this year. The season just ended on Sunday. Boom. 2 days from now, the Dodgers will be right back in it. Who knows? There's been a lot of theories since the postseason format has changed. There's been a lot of theories. If you guys remember early on when the postseason thing changed, there was a lot of teams that lost early. The Dodgers were one of them. The Orioles, there was a lot of teams. The Rangers won the World Series as a wild card team in 2023. But then again, the Dodgers last year were the number 1 seed, and they won it all. A lot of people like to say that, it's better to not have that rest, to have that bye. Just the season ends, and you're right back into it. You lose some of that, your timing and all that. But like I said, the Dodgers kind of put that to bed. They won the World Series last year as the 1 seed. So at the end of the day, man, you get into the postseason, it's about winning games. You got to be able to score runs. Your starter has to be pretty solid, and your bullpen has to be good. There's really, there are many different ways to attack it, but at the end of the day, you got to do a little bit of everything. I'll be honest, a year ago, if you would have asked me, can the Dodgers win the World Series, just like this year, I would have said, of course they can. I would have been a little skeptical because last year they went into the postseason with no starting rotation. It was like Jack Flaherty, Yamamoto being built up, and then Walker Buehler, who just had his worst season of his career. This year is the opposite. They go in with an incredible rotation, and a lot of the guys are rested and ready to go. But then obviously they have the bad bullpen. We'll see what the lineup does. The lineup's been really good as of late. So again, I'm going to get into all that. So I didn't want to have too much postseason talk. I'm going to do all that tomorrow. A little bit of a preview of the Reds, tell you what they're good at. I don't know if I'll go too deep into them because I've already done that before. That's pretty much it. At the end of the day, the Dodgers won the division like we all expected. They're in the postseason like we all expected. It's just going to be a little bit different this year. They're going to play a little sooner. Going to have to play a couple more games. Do I think they can still win the World Series? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they have the pitching and they have the lineup to do it. So that wraps up the regular season for 2025. I just wanted to thank everybody. My first year doing this, Talking Blue Pod. We've grown a lot. I've learned a lot. I hope you guys have learned a lot about me and about the Dodgers and about baseball and all that stuff. It's been really fun to recap this entire year. I can't believe now it's postseason time. I remember my first pod, doing predictions and what do we expect from the season, and here we are. In 2 days, we'll be getting ready to watch a playoff game. So thank you guys so much for being with me for this entire regular season. Now it's time for the most fun part of the year, postseason time. As always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on social media at Talking Blue Pod. You can follow myself at Talking Blue Nick. I'll be tweeting about postseason stuff, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna be posting a lot of stuff on X, recapping guys' series, seasons, stuff like that. So, and then as well on Reddit at competitive-week8715. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back to talk about the Dodgers and the Reds in the wild card series coming up.